Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Dylan, and today I wanted to share a download that I got in the shower like 2 or 3 nights ago. And it's just kind of a metaphor for manifestation. And yeah, I'll just go ahead and share it. But first, I want to show you this nice little spot I'm recording, and just got a little oasis in the trees, I guess, kind of by my apartment. But, anyways, the gimbal's making its way around. So the metaphor is related to manifestation and essentially just how it works. And I just, as I said, I got this download just in the shower, and it made it a lot of sense to me. And so I wanted to share it with you guys. And so when you think about in your home, if you're able to watch this video, I'm assuming you can go to your water faucet, your water tap, and you turn the faucet on. And then if you just left it on permanently, it would flow essentially forever. Now, maybe eventually, maybe not, but for the extent of this metaphor, let's say it essentially flows forever. And obviously, in order to get that flow, you have to turn the faucet on. And so it is very similar. That is a very similar thing to manifestation. If you want more money in your life, if you want a better career, if you want a partner, if you want a new home, whatever, if you want a car, turning the faucet on is how you receive that thing. And so, what do I mean by that? So, for the sake of this metaphor, whatever it is that you want, the flow of whatever it is you want into your life is the water. That's what that represents. And the faucet and turning it on and off and how much flow you give it is the thoughts and the beliefs and the emotions that you have around the subject. And so, to bring in more money into your life, to bring more money into our lives, we have to have turn the faucet on and keep it open. Because that's one thing, you can turn it on and then close it right after that. Then just like a little flow and then it stops. Or you can turn it part of the way on and it like drips out, drip, drip. Or you can turn it halfway on and it like the flow is restricted. Or you can turn it all the way on, then it flows very freely into our lives. And just the money as an example. And so, as I just said, the way that we turn this faucet on is through our thoughts, our beliefs, and our emotions. And you could also say, depending on what it is, your actions as well, but the actions are almost always derived from those three things that I just said. And so, if we want to turn the faucet on all the way for money to flow into our lives, we have to see what beliefs we're holding around it. Most people have very limited consciousness around money, and I share this from my own experience. And so we have to understand that those beliefs of limitation that we're holding are blocking our flow. That is restricting the water from coming out freely out of the faucet in this metaphor as I'm sharing. And then an example maybe of the faucet being halfway open. Well, actually, let me give you a couple examples specifically. It's like, oh, I don't have enough money. Money's hard to make. There's never enough. I've said these in other videos in the past. If it's love that you want, a relationship, then maybe, oh, there's no all the men are bad. Oh, all men are pigs. All women are whatever. Or maybe you have a belief it's like I'm not worthy of love. And that'd be probably something you might not be aware of, but any things like that will stop the flow of what you want into your life. And so that is an example of when the faucet is closed, like the flow is pretty much completely stopped. Or maybe it's just a drip, like it's just dripping out every now and then you get some, and it's just enough to be like, okay, I can pay my bills, or it's just enough to be like, okay, maybe there are actually possibly some people out in the world, I just have never found them. And um or just maybe there's somebody out in the world for me, but I don't know, you know, just as an example. And if the faucet is like halfway on, then I would say you're kind of hot and cold. You are back and forth between maybe you are able to be like, yes, okay, I have enough money. Like I make good money at my job, for example, and just got a paycheck, so I'm good. But then you go spend all of it on whatever you spend it on, and then it's like, oh my god, I don't ever like, why does this always happen? I never have enough. And so that would be a good example of that the faucet is halfway open. It's like it's flowing, but it's kind of restricted to where it's just not the full expression of what it could be or what maybe you want it to be. And for love, for example, maybe you are able to find a lot of people that you date, but nothing ever goes much farther than a couple of dates. And the obvious example for when the faucet is all the way open is if you always have enough money. You always have more than enough to take care of your needs and to have some or all of your desires met as well. And if your faucet is on in your love life, then you have whatever your preference is, but you have one person that you love and that you're committed to, and you're building a relationship. And it is mutual. That's another important thing of specifically about relationships, friendships as well, but relationships is if maybe you have a relationship, but it's toxic, the person that you're with doesn't treat you well, then that means you have other beliefs that you need to open, the faucet more, such as that you're worthy of being treated well, you're worthy of unconditional love, and you're worthy of the exact same love that you give. You're worthy of receiving the exact same love that you give. And so those are just the examples of just how I thought about it in my mind. As I said, this was a download I just got in the shower the other day. And I thought it was just a cool way to think about it, just to visualize, okay, I want this in my life. What ways am I holding the faucet halfway open? What ways am I completely closing it? And I'm just maybe even I have my hand up against it and there's no way it's going to open until I release that, until I release those beliefs and I release those ways of thinking and I release the feelings of lack or scarcity that I have, or the feelings of I'm not worthy. And what ways can I open the faucet and then after opening it, leave it open? Because this is something I've been guilty of a lot in the past. And it's helped me to get to where I am. So in a way, I'm grateful for it. But I'm sharing it with you guys so that hopefully you can avoid this, but and not have to go through this learning experience, which was I would open the faucet of money, of abundance. I would get a lot that would come into my life at one time. And then through through the beliefs that I still held in my mind, the money would eventually, leave and then I would need more again. And the reason for that is because I was kind of hot and cold, in my mind. Maybe I had times where I felt very abundant. My thoughts were super aligned with it and it just came easily into my life. And then after seeing the money going down, 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 then the thoughts of scarcity and fear kicked in and was like, oh God, am I like, am I going to have enough to do these things that I want to do or just to pay my bills and buy groceries and everything? And that back and forth, and it can even happen in a small period of time, which is another thing that I've been very guilty of as well, is doing like a nice visualization session. Visualizing I have all the money I want, it's coming in these beautiful ways that I intend on, and then or affirmation session, for example, as well. And then you get up, you go out into your day, and then you're going to spend money to buy groceries, and you have that feeling, those thoughts come up, and you have like, oh no, this is a lot. Like, oh no, I'm losing all this money out of my account. Oh, my money just keeps going down. And so then you were hot, I guess, if you want to put it that way, for in your affirmation session. It's like, yes, I feel really good about it, but then 30 minutes later, and then for the rest of the day, I just was cold. And so then it makes you lukewarm, I guess you could say. And there's something actually in the Bible that says, I can't remember exactly what it says, but something along the lines of, if you're lukewarm, you will be spit out. Either be hot or cold. And what it means by that is don't find yourself stuck in the middle of like, oh, yes, I'm abundant, but oh, I'm also afraid of not having enough. Oh, yes, I deserve a wonderful partner, but oh, I don't know if I'm worthy of love, these things like that. It says to be hot or cold. So to choose one, because if you're lukewarm, you're going to get spit out, and the things that you do want are not going to show up in your life in the way that you want. And so, yeah, I think that's all I have for this video. As I said, it was just a cool download I received in the shower that I needed to share with you guys. And I really hope that you do listen to the last thing I just shared, because honestly, I didn't intend on sharing it necessarily, but that was one of the best things that came out of me in this video is if you are doing your affirmations, if you're doing your visualizations for whatever it is you want, money, success, love, happiness, you have to do your best. Now, and I understand, that it can be hard, and we're human and it's okay. We're divine beings, but we're just so conditioned by our old ways of being that it is okay, to fall back into the things that we know we don't want, of lack of worthiness, of scarcity, of general fear and anxiety. But it is so important to do our best, to not allow ourselves to fall back into those old ways of thinking and being and feeling and believing about the things that we want, because that's truly the way that things change in our life. Is we have to change our thinking around the subject, not just for 15 minutes a day. Even if you did an hour-long meditation where you're just visualizing, affirming, doing all these cool things, and you feel so good. But then an hour later and for the rest of the day, you contradict what you just did earlier in the day, it cancels it out, honestly. It really does. And I'm speaking from experience here that there's been many times in my past where I've had wonderful meditations, and then I go out in the day and it's just fear, worry, doubt, lack, unworthiness, all these different things that ended up in me not getting what I wanted at the time. And it was all for a reason for me. That was just a part of my journey. And that's why I share these things with you guys, because it's what I've learned from my own experience in this self transformation field, I guess, if you want to call it that. And I hope you learn from my mistakes and do your best to not fall back. And also, one other thing I need to add is that this can be another way that we can kind of fall back, so to say. So I always do this thing in one take, but my phone storage was full, so it cut off just like a couple minutes before I ended the video. Luckily, not too much of it is gone, but as I was saying, another way we can hold ourselves back is by putting time constraints on the things that we want. And I've been very guilty of this in the past, and from my own experience, I know that this is how it goes. So maybe you say that I want this thing to manifest in my life within the next month. So in the first part of the month, you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, going about your life, and then halfway through the month, it's like, hey, I still don't see it yet. 25 days into the month, you're like, uh, I don't think it's coming. And then as at the end of the month, oh, it's not there. Because why does this happen? Because anytime we put time constraints on the things that we want, it just adds a form of resistance in our minds, and we try to limit the unlimited power of the universe, which is just not possible. And there's something it says in the Bible that there is an appointed hour, an appointed time for everything. And we don't know what that is. We can't know that we are going to get this specific thing exactly when we want to. I mean, I'll tell you guys that the I manifested a girlfriend into my life, and I wanted one years before it happened. And it only happened at a time when I was pretty much not expecting it at all and felt fine by myself. And a lot of the times that's how it happens, but it doesn't have to take years, of course. Some things will be very fast. And that's the thing is we don't know. God's ways are beyond our ways. We cannot know. It is just simply not possible for our minds to know these things. And so when we put a time constraint on the things we want to manifest in our lives, it just holds ourselves back. It really does. It's good to have goals in your life and maybe, goals for like a month long, a couple months long, but don't make it result orientated, your goals. You should make your goals process oriented. But that's a different video that I'll maybe make in the future. And um what else did I say? I'm trying to remember everything I said. When the video cut off, it was so good, but I'm glad I got most of the rest of the video, and I hope it gives you guys some value. Um, so yeah, I think that's it. I thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Definitely start commenting. If you feel called to comment, I want to create an active community, so I want people to be commenting in my comment section. I will reply to every single comment until my channel gets too big. Then maybe I won't be able to. But until then, I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.